you know, in family, there's taboos or things that we just respect but don't get into. So for the past 2, 3 weeks ago, I did a palm reading, and you know, palm reading usually has the connotation of, it tells you the future, it tells you what's gonna happen, when you're gonna die, and stuff like that. And I watched a podcast accidentally, so this is kind of like the context of why I did the palm reading. And I watched this podcast by accident, and I was like very intrigued. Like, like I need to watch podcasts. Let me watch this one that came up in my watch that I had put in my watch later, but I haven't watched. So I watched it, and I found it really interesting because for a lot of the things with like spirituality and stuff like that, it's really not about like it's not about you have a destiny, or like you could tell what your future is, or or you're just meant to do this thing or have this life. But when I look into spirituality, and the things I've learned is that no, you create your own path, you create your own reality, and there's just certain things like tarot, astrology, is astrology or horoscopes. Well, that like all those different stuff, numerology, like they're all guidances, or they give you guidance in what you can do with your life, what you can improve, what you should be working on, stuff like that. If you need answers, or if you have questions and they could give you an answer, then they will guide you with that. So that's what I understood with palm reading, and like with the podcast is the same thing. It's a guidance to know more about yourself. Also, like I guess a guidance to know more about yourself, like your strengths, how you think, things that you can work on. Because I before the age of 25, your lines are still developing, which makes sense because at the age of 25, around that time, that's when your frontal lobe is developed, and or is done being developed. So it makes sense for your lines not change as much anymore. I don't know if they don't change at all, or they just don't change as much, but they definitely don't they it's easier, or it's more permanent, I guess you could say it like that. So with your hand lines, they tell you your strengths, how you think, your role view, your perspective, pretty much your thoughts. And if you have them done, then it's easier to like kind of look at your lines and like, okay, you have more intuition, I guess. So, but just like anybody in itself can read a palm just with like the basic lines and stuff like that. Like I've been reading my family's lines, and it's like, oh, it makes sense. You have this line, you have that line. Okay, so apologies, I need water. So that's pretty much so. No, sorry. I decided to get a palm reading because for the longest time, maybe now it's gonna be now like 4 years, I've been looking and trying to find what's that thing that I need to do. I've been in content for a while now, but I haven't been consistent with it because I don't know what to post. There's so many things that I can do, and there's so many creative ideas, but then I do one and then I don't end up finishing it. So I was what's my path? What do I need a job? Should I do entrepreneurship? Blah blah blah. And so I was like, okay, like this is gonna give me hopefully some answers. If this is guiding me, it's gonna tell me my strengths and all of that. So I was okay. Let me book the thing. And thankfully, I had options in when to book, because I booked one for my mom as well after I did it, and it's not until September, so she has to wait like a month and a half for the actual appointment, and I just had to wait 2, 3 weeks, and that's because I wanted to do it on July 22, so like an angel number, which I don't know if it would have mattered, but I that's just how I wanted to do it. So that's pretty much like the reason why, like the context of why I wanted to do a palm reading. And I went with the idea that it's not gonna tell me what my future is, because your destiny, or like how you think your life is gonna go, it can change because you yourself change with like your perspectives and all of that. So it's not set in stone. So I understood, okay, like whatever, whatever path I'm going, I'm able to change it. And then two, I wanted guidance on like what should I be focusing on, because I need to know. I need to know what to do so I could start focusing on that. And two, I need to start making money, whether it's like me finding another job, or if I'm finding a good job, or because I could do both at the same time, like really focusing on like on YouTube and social media and all this stuff, and like trying to see like a product or service that I can do where I can now start making money, and not just specifically for that intention, but like if I'm gonna help out people, or I'm gonna start doing like trying to influence and impact somebody's life, at the same time I need to earn some money so I could do that full time. So that's like a mindset stuff with money, but that's another conversation. So then we get into the actual appointment. So what happened in the appointment? So in that, I'm gonna say towards the end like the mistakes and things I would have done differently. But for now, I definitely it was very, because it's only a 30-minute call. She went like she said hello, and then she like went in with like the information that like the general stuff. Like she focuses on health, finances, and she said another one, relationships, I believe, or career. Probably career, well, which I think is connected to finances. But one of those three main areas in our lives. So she did that. She gave me some like things like, oh, because I haven't said anything at all. She just like kept saying stuff like, oh, you're this, you're that, blah blah. Like these are your strengths, and she was very accurate with many of or all of the things that she said. A few things I could say is like, I'm someone who's and it was in Spanish as well. So she said, "Eres una niña muy inquieta," so you like to do a lot of things. Like you like to learn about something and like learn everything about it. Like go into the roots of it, and then you go into another thing. And that's really really true. And I could give some like quick examples that like kind of like stood out when she said that. And it was probably like maybe 2 years ago. I got into watching Cesar Millan's like their shows in Disney, and I literally binge watched all of his shows, like all of his episodes probably in less than a month or in a month. And I was like training my cousin's dog, and then I will analyze people like, man, you shouldn't be walking your dog like that. And I got like so deep into it, and I was like watching his videos like 24/7. And yeah, and that's like a quick example like how I did dive. Another one was David Goggins, and I think it was like during summer time. I think it came after Cesar Millan, where I found out about him, or maybe it was before. I think it was before, and I would watch like his podcast interviews with like when he would get invited, and like I would listen to his conversations. I bought his book, and I was reading his book, and I was like, okay, like I'm into this, and then I started running and kind of like implementing like his philosophy slash mentality, and I really got into it. And I was like, David Goggins this, David Goggins that, who's gonna carry the boats, all of that. So, and then it kind of like faded away afterwards when I was done with running. I was like, oh, I can't do running no more. And that was like another one where like I kind of like deep dive into like stuff. And then even like when I was younger, like in middle school, high school, I got into painting. I got into nail design, so I bought like $100+ worth of nail polish, and I was watching videos. I got into skating. I bought my skates. I watched a bunch of videos, but I never really like did one thing for a long period of time. It was like a couple months, if anything, maybe like 3 to 6 months. It was never like the whole year, at least not from what I remember. Because even with skating was like 1 month, and that's it. Okay, but so pretty much like those are examples. And then another thing was like relationship with my family. Like I'm really someone who family's opinion really influences me. So I'm like, damn, you got me there. And then like the kind of like validation from my family and stuff like that, how that influences as well my relationship with my parents. I'm like, damn, that one actually was a perspective that I hadn't seen, but it definitely made a lot of sense once I analyzed it. And I was like, okay, that was actually a good one that I didn't really knew about or didn't really see it that way, but it definitely makes sense, and I'm definitely keeping that in mind. So just just that, and then the most important thing, of course, career. Career was like, okay, because I think it was like definitely towards the beginning when she said like, this is the reason why you're in this call is because you want to know like what's your path, what's your purpose, like what should you go into. And it's like the thing is like, and that's when she says like, "Yo, me get that." So you won't really like. There's so many creative projects that you're gonna do, or like so many, because you're a very creative person. So you're gonna have a lot of projects. You like have a lot of ideas. So you're never really gonna do like one thing for a long period of time. Long period of time. So you could see like people like Cesar Millan, David Goggins, um, who else? Like literally anybody else, like the person who does the palm reading institution, Francisco Rodriguez. Like these people, they probably have a straight line because they've done this for such a long period of time, like decades. Where I probably won't be able to do that, especially if you have a curved line in the middle line, which is supposed to be like de la cabeza. I think it's that one, unless it's the corazon. I'm not, I don't remember now that I'm trying to say it, but it's a straight line. And if you have a straight line, usually it's because you are someone who's able to do things for a very long period of time, like that same thing, even if it may include like different projects and stuff like that, but you're centered or you're focused into one specific thing, which I find it very interesting, and it makes sense why I can't do that. Um, so she told me that, and so that's when she gave me advice on, okay, because you're someone who likes to, who easily gets bored on stuff, who easily gets bored on stuff, and starts and wants to learn different, wants to start learning new things, you need to set a plan. And so I guess we could get into, and before I get into like the advice that she gave me, another thing that she mentioned too as well was like finances, because she said, you're financially stable, but you're not in scarcity, but you're not in abundance either. So you definitely need to work on that as well. And then I also ask, I because and that's an advice I'm gonna give also towards the end on like what I wish I would have done. I didn't have like, I did had questions prepared because I had thought about it, but I didn't really write it down. And so one of the she asked me like, do you have any questions? So I asked about like more about like my family, like about like the relationships with my family. And then I also and then my question, which I think it was good, but I wish I would have asked more because I have so many questions. I had so many questions afterwards, and one of the questions I asked was, what's something I should know about that I'm not really asking, and that could really benefit me knowing. And then she told me what it was, or like what she thought it was, and I was like, okay, that makes sense because I've been thinking about that for for a while. So I definitely need to be careful with those things, and she definitely did tell me like to be careful with those things because I won't say it now, but maybe in the future that could be a future episode. Um, but yeah, so that's pretty much like what she told me. My reading, she did say like she doesn't like doing um, projections or projecciones, or where she tells me like, oh, this is gonna happen, because again, it can change. Like things can change if you're doing something that's hurting you. You're obviously creating a path to for hurt to come more. But if you become aware of that, you become conscious about it, and you change your perspective, you change your mindset, you change your beliefs, your actions, all of that, your behaviors, then you're gonna create a new path, and then bam, your future, your destiny starts changing, and therefore you're co-creating your own reality. But she did tell me some stuff where there, if I don't change like this, there's a possibility of this changing. So I was like, okay, you got me there. I'm going to change those stuff. So, or I'm trying to. It's definitely a repetitive thing where it's okay, Andrea, nope, you cannot do this because this happened. So, which I found it interesting, because then I wonder how that influences a lot when like certain situations where it relates to that comes through. I don't know if I could say it out loud because maybe I'm giving in too much information about me, but it's definitely an interesting thing, like how that influences. And actually, let's go into. I think this is a great leeway into the how what she told me to do, and then how I've implemented. So there's four main things that she told me to work on. And then she gave me some suggestions as well, which lead to the four things. So the one of the main things was, or one of the four things was a book recommendation, because families are really like, it really influences a lot in like my decisions and all of that, and like how I see myself even. She gave me this book, and it's in Spanish. I believe it might be in English as well, but it's called in Spanish is Deja de ser codependiente by Melody Beetle or something like that. I'll leave it in the name of the title, the name of the book, in the description. And if I forget, please leave it in the comments below. And I really hope my camera is not blurry because I'm using the cinematic mode. But that's a book that she recommended. I've Even though it's 4 hours, I still haven't been able to finish it. But I'm in the, I believe, second hour. So from what I've heard, it's actually a very interesting book, and it definitely makes a lot of sense in like how, and I think it's a generational thing, like with family. Like I can see it how I do it, how my family does it, like especially my mom's side, because that's really the family that we have here. And like mis tias, my cousins, I could definitely see how codependencia really influences us, and it could show in different ways as well. Not everybody's gonna be the same or behave the same way, or in some of them, like thankfully, because we've seen the patterns in our families, we've also like kind of like lowered it, but it's still there. So it's definitely a great book too as well. So I definitely recommend you reading it, even though I'm only an hour two. Like I definitely the reading or listening, because I'm listening to it, and it's free on YouTube as well. So you definitely have no excuses unless you speak English, only English, and then you might have an excuse and you might have to find it in English. So that's the first one. The second one too, because she did talk about like how the energy in my room is very low, and it's embarrassing to say, but it's really low, and it's part me and then part like the energy of the room itself. So she said like, because I don't really rest well in that room and all that, because you do have to take responsibility, or I have to take responsibility. I have to change my energy, my frequency, my vibrations, and like lower, like high, make it higher, not lower, higher, make it higher, and just like find ways to do that. And one of the ways, or one of the things she did, two things that she mentioned that I should do. So one of them is like clean my room, in the sense of like change it up. So she did mention like like no, she didn't mention feng shui, but she definitely tried to see like if I could change like the setting of my room. But my room is super small, so you really can't move anything, and unless it goes back to the other way. But the way that it is now is actually like good, so I couldn't change anything. So she said to flip my mattress upside down, so she could like kind of like shake the energy, change the sheets, all of that. And interestingly, how I integrated that, because I don't know what goes in my head, but because I was kind of confirmed, like, okay, it is the energy in the room, like even though I could also influence it, because it's also the room and not just me. I was like, okay, no, I have some control. There has to be some changes that I can do to help the room. And I started, and that's where, and that's kind of where like my obsessiveness, and like, okay, let's dive deeper into these stuff and like do whatever we can and do the research and all that. So that whole day, I was literally, and this is how I integrated information as well. And that day after the call, I was kind of like thinking about it. I analyzed it. I watched it like 2 3 times, because I did record it. I don't know if I was supposed to record or not, but I did, because I would have forgotten everything that she had said, and I probably should have asked permission. I don't know, but um, I still did it. I'm sorry. and then after I watched it, I was eating my breakfast. I was analyzing it, and then I was like, no, like there has to be a way that I can change the energy in my room if it's not just me. So I started watching Fer Broca. Fer Broca is a spiritual teacher that I've been listening to for a while, and he has 3 videos on like how to change or what to do with like bad energy. So like, my room has bad energy. I need those videos. So I started watching it. He recommended like some sprays that you could do. And I was okay, perfect, let me do them. So I was okay. I also need to clean my room if I need to clean. And since there's like if the dirtiness of your room also influences with energy and all that, I need to clean my room like a deep clean. So I ended up doing laundry. Okay, I need to clean everything and anything that can be washed. So I washed my cobijas, my sábanas, my clothes, anything. And I went laundry. I went to La Marqueta to look for. It's called El Té de Doce Flores. I couldn't find it at all anywhere. I looked at Whole Foods, Food Basad, Stop and Shop, CVS, Walgreens, all of that, and I couldn't find it. So I ended up just buying the oranges because I needed oranges as well. I just bought the oranges and I had hoped to find the tea, but I couldn't find it at all. And so I I did I used what I could. So I did the oranges because I ended up going to TikTok as well. Like, okay, sprays or energy cleansers and stuff like that. And it was orange peels with, I think it was just orange peels because even with orange peels you could use them as a all-purpose cleaner if you put it in vinegar as well and let it like fermentar for like 2 3 weeks, I think it was, and then that becomes a clean solution, which I still need to do, but I didn't have vinegar. So I would have done it, but I didn't have vinegar, so I need to buy vinegar now that I think about it. And then, so I did that. I went laundry. I went to look for the stuff, but I couldn't really find anything. So I finished doing laundry. I came back to my house, and then I started doing the deep clean. I was, I literally took my mattress out of my room. I took the the thing, what's it called, the bed frame. Sorry, the bed frame. I put it like upwards, so I kind of like, it's like laying down like this, right? So I put it like this, so I have more space and like more accessibility to the floor. And I moved the closet, which honestly I was in my period during that time. I starting my period, so my back was hurting. I was like, no. But I was like, I have to do what I have to do. So I did that. I mopped with Mr. Clean, and then I was like, there has to be like some energetic like solution, like to clean the floor properly. And the only thing I could really find was vinegar. Like vinegar is a very powerful like thing, and just like in general for cleaning. So okay, I was like, vinegar. I had like this little bit of vinegar left, so I was okay. Let me use that. I used that. I cleaned. I wiped down like the walls and especially like the bottom part where the heater slash AC is, like that whole part. So I was cleaning that with like with Clorox wipes as well, and like I needed like dust, and I literally all the corners, and I was and then I put everything back. I moved the table so I could clean properly, and I organized everything. I threw out so many things. I probably threw out like 2 3 bags of garbage, and mostly like clothes that I don't use anymore. Like I literally use this shirt. I just recently bought these pants, and I bought this Target like exercise shirt, like tank top. That's pretty much all I use. So if clothing brands want to what's it called, collaborate, I am down because I need new clothes. And if you're and I but I do have to say I'm a very minimalist, no brand, like showing, unless it's a really cool T-shirt, then I'm down. But it's it's really plain stuff, minimalistic, no effort on having to like choose what to pair it with. But that's a side note. So I did that. I cleaned my closet, and that's pretty much like where all the garbage came from, was the closet, because also I shared that with like my parents or like my family where they put their stuff. So I was like, okay, do you need this? Do you need that? Do you need this? Do you need that? And they were like, no, 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 no. Okay, garbage. I threw out shoes that I had from years since like I don't really use. They're already worn down. So okay, garbage. And yeah, it was like that Marie Kondo technique where it's like, okay, thank you, but I have to let you go. And that was a lot. I was pretty much done by like 2 a.m. I think 2 a.m. I was done. So I put everything back. My closet is pretty much empty from like the closet that I have in my room, not the closet that comes with the room. Like both of those were organized. I just need to organize paperwork, which I put in my suitcase. I was like, okay, I'll deal with you later. But everything has a place, and my room has not has been clean for the past now 2 weeks and a half. Like it hasn't been dirty. I think that's like the most drastic change I've made, because before my room will always be dirty in the sense of like everything will be disorganized. Like for some reason my desk will always end up with piles of like books or paper, or my brother will use my PC and his PlayStations in there, so he will use it and he will put it back. Or my socks was also like a big deal. Like I will at night I can't sleep with my socks on. And comment down below if you sleep with socks on or not, because I say that's kind of weird if you do. Unless it's winter, then I could understand. But during the summer, no. And then so that was always a problem. So I would always leave them on the floor, and then they will pile up some socks all over the place. And since that day, I have not put socks on the floor. They go at night. I take them off, open the door of my closet, put them in the dirty bin, and that's it. Like no socks on the floor. Another drastic change I made was also no shoes in my room, and except for like this past 3 4 days that I have, but that's because I'm planning on mopping the floor again. I need to mop the floor at least once a month, especially because it's such a small room. I don't think it's needed like more than once. But that's definitely a big drastic change. I think that is the most drastic change I've made this year, where like my room is organized and I put everything where it belongs. Like everything has a place, and it there's no more, if things are to pile up, I organize it at the end of the night if I don't do it throughout the day. And I think one thing that has helped is that I've been working pretty much like almost every day too, so I'm not in my room the whole time. But even like when I used to work before, like almost a whole week, my room will still end up a mess, even if it was just socks. And another thing too is like there's nothing underneath my bed. There used to be like clothes that I will use for winter, which I really wouldn't use for winter. They were just there, so I would either throw out those stuff or that's it, or I put them in the closet. I threw out whatever was there. Anything that's broken, old, or used that you don't no longer need, it has to go. So I was like, okay. I took that to heart. I could be someone that could be very extreme, and this is definitely a case. So I definitely did that. So yeah, sorry that it was too long to explain, but it was, you could just see like the immense, like how serious I took it. I was like, if my room is really bad energy, then it makes sense why I wake up late and all that. But that means I have some control. And unfortunately, I've still been waking up late. But my room definitely, just like seeing it, it feels more like ordered, like more organized, and I have some control with it. I ordered inciensos, which is I don't know what they're called in English. Incense, I guess that's incense. I ordered incense, so that really helps also with the energy in the room. So I'm waiting for those, and I also bought necklaces with like cuarzos from someone I trust, con Atma, and unfortunately like shipping could be pretty expensive, but I bought those, and it's for protection and creativity and all that. I like bought whatever. I would have bought all of them, but some of them weren't available, so I was like, okay, I'll buy the ones that are available. But I would have bought all of them if I could have. But yeah, that's that. And then so it was um the book, the or reorganizing and like kind of like shifting energies in the room. Another one that, because like my energy is also very low, she did mention to kind of like see how the moon is connected with like my emotions and behaviors. So I have to keep a diary of the moon phase, and then like how I felt that day, like my mood and like my behaviors and all that. Did I wake up early? Did I wake up late? Did I have energy? Did I not have energy? Which was interesting because the day I'm recording, August 5th, yesterday was a full moon, and yesterday for some reason I just felt like I could get angry like very easily, and I noticed that I was like, why am I angry? Like there's nothing to be angry about, but just like little stuff like will like picarme, and I was like, interesting. I'm gonna write this in my diary for a full moon, and I had to do this for 3 months minimum, so I could see like the correlations with the moon phases, and then like if that actually influences my mood and my behaviors. And that was the third thing. And then the last thing that she did mention was planning, like setting a goal, planning it, and then doing what I could to focus on those things. Even if I have like different interests and I want to learn about different stuff, like fine, go for it. But have a goal for that year and then see it through, like focusing, see it through. And even if you like focus on other stuff, your main priority is that. So I was like, okay, especially again because I'm someone who tends to like roam around and like start new things all the time. It's really important. And what I chose was my podcast. I chose my podcast as that thing to focus on. And I messed up last week because I didn't post. So I'm doing it this week. I really want to see it through. And even though I may not do anything else for the rest of the year, like podcast is really what I really want to focus on. And yeah, so those are the four things from what I remember and from what I wrote down that I remember. Those are the four things. And there's a car next to me. And then and then yeah, that's really how I've been implementing. So just my room, my thoughts. Like I've been really been more intentional with like the affirmations that I say and the thoughts and there's this like meditation of like el centro del corazón or de brillar where you kind of like focus on your heart. Sorry, and you just focus on your heart and you kind of like start breathing and you that's kind of like you become more present and all of that. So that's been really good. I haven't done it every day, but I definitely try to do it a couple times a week. And then one of the affirmations I've been saying as well is si pasa en mí, pasa en mi camino. Again, let me say that again. Si pasa en mí, pasa en mi camino. And I've been really like feeling it, like feeling that peace. So it's if peace on in me, peace in my path, or something like that. If you could translate it that way, it sounds better in Spanish. And I've really been focusing on that, and a lot of things have been coming to me where I think it's because of the affirmation, but that will be for another episode. And yeah, that's really how I've been have implemented. That's what she advised me. I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name, so I won't say her name, or at least I'll say her first name. First name is Aziz. I couldn't find her social media, so I don't really think it matters. But I'm really thankful for her and like for the information that she gave me and how I've been able to like implement it. And then the second thing is the last part that I do want to talk about, and before I finish this episode, is the things I wish I would have done differently. And it's two main things really. The first one is I would have done this at a different time because I thought I was gonna be more excited about this this booking, this appointment, this consultation. I was like, okay, let me do it at 10:30 in the morning, and I'm gonna wake up early, and I'm gonna be very energetic, and blah blah blah. And the day came, and I wasn't. I was so tired. I was so lazy. I felt like I was gonna keep sleeping, and I feel like maybe that could have influenced the call. I'm not really sure, but I definitely wish I would have done it at a different time. Definitely in the afternoon, where I know by that time I would have been like more, I would have hyped myself more and been like, okay, I'm ready for this call. But I literally woke up like 20 minutes before the call and I only had time to use the bathroom and brush my teeth. I didn't, like, that's all I did. And I was really tired. So that was like one of the main things. And then the second thing was having my questions prepared. I wish I would have asked about the projects that I want to do, like buying a car. Like, is it a good idea for this year? Like, should I be working on that financially? Like, should I get a job? Should I continue with the podcast? Should I do both? Um, like, like please guide me on that because I have so many limiting beliefs about having a job, and not even in the sense of like, oh, 9 to 5 blah blah. It's more of like the expectations, like the people that I could be with. Like I'm really scared and I have a lot of fear towards having a boss where it's like they themselves don't even love their job, and I don't know, and it scares me to get a job where it's like I'm not gonna be surrounded with like the most amazing or more like conscious people, or more like passion. I think that's where like passionate people. I think that's really my scare, where my fear is. So like, should I get another job? Like, what should I be doing? Like, even though I know, like where can I find these people? And then, so I definitely like having my questions more prepared on like the things that I want to do. Like, okay, give me some guidance in this. And even like right now, also as well, please don't tell me she's gonna park right here. Oh, lady, please. I mean, it's just practicing. I don't know, but what was I gonna say? The the having, because like for example with the room, I wish you would have told me, oh, you could do this more, or you could like do this spray, or you could watch this person. Pretty much having more resources with stuff, because I feel like I had to, like, I don't mind doing my research. I did my research, but the research sometimes could be so, either like the person might not be giving you the right information, or the person pretty much like not the right information, or just not enough information out there for you to actually do the things. Because again, I was looking for sprays and all that, and nothing really came up. So besides like the general stuff, like clean your room, organize it, keep it in order, and stuff like that. So that's two main things I wish I would have done differently. And one other thing too, and this is not like with like tips and advice, but definitely like a guidance of like, should you be doing this like once a year? Should you, is this like a one time thing? Because at the end of the day, again, it's guidance. So if you have your questions prepared, and especially I believe like these people have dones, in the sense like they can, not only can they read your palm in a logical way, or because this means this means that, but because they can see more and they can feel more, depending on like what they have, then you have an advantage on asking people like deep questions and guidance, where they could give you more information that you think someone can give you. So I think I'm either asking how many times I should be doing this. Definitely not gonna be like 6 times. It's maybe like one or twice a year. Because even with like the coffee one, where a podcast that I watched previously, where you could read kind of like, or give you guidance through your coffee stain, and this is like more like a Turkish thing, but she recommends like, I think every 6 months, because you also have to let it, like, those like whatever they tell you, either like, oh, this could happen blah 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 in this next couple of months, like you have to see it through. And obviously you can't see it through if you're booking a call every 2 months, so you also got to put in the work pretty much. So yeah, I think overall this was an amazing experience, in the sense that I definitely had a lot of confirmation. I am now more okay with myself. Okay, I don't need to do one thing, or focus on one thing, or think that I have to do a certain project or a certain career for the next 40 years. I actually have this thing of like, I want to learn a lot of different stuff, and it's okay to want to be that person, and to have those what's it called, and to have that personality and those characteristics and those strengths, you know? So I think it gave a lot of like peace in that sense of like, okay, like you're okay with who you are, you just gotta embrace it. And then it definitely gave me more consciousness, and okay, this is what you should work on, especially because this is a big thing in your life, specifically family. And and it also kind of like broke, because I feel like we tend to believe that a certain event or certain thing, and I've talked about this before, is going to change our lives. And after the book, after the appointment, after the consultation, it was like, okay, now what? Like, I got the information, I did the booking, things that we're scared of, but there was nothing to be scared of. Now you just got to keep doing the work. So I think it's an interesting thing to kind of like break that belief that we're like, this is taboo, because this is like, they're not telling you, oh, you're gonna die at this age, or you're gonna, because at the end of the day, they do, like, there's some people that do have this information and can tell you that, but it's how you say certain things as well. So if you're a person, you're whatever you do, like tarot, palm reading, any like spiritual stuff, like resource or tool, they themselves are learning, but they themselves have to tell you, like, they have to word it properly and think and tell you the stuff that is gonna benefit you or how you can use it to your advantage. Because if they're just telling you, oh, um you're gonna have an accident next week, but they're not really like telling like well, I feel like one, they shouldn't tell you that because then you're gonna be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Or unless they tell you, oh, you have the possibility to have an accident, so just stay home during that week, blah blah. Blah. Then maybe, but you really have to be careful and not to meterte like take everything to heart. I think that's one of the key takeaways, especially because it, I'm like trying to think how to word it. It's like one, don't take things too hard because things can change, and I feel like at the end of the day, like, people with donuts, they themselves are learning as well on how to say things, what to say, what not to say, pretty much how to word it properly. And then two, it's going with someone that you trust or that's reliable or that someone recommended because that person already did it as well. But with that being said, I am eternally grateful for this consultation, this palm reading. I learned a lot. I also bought a course, so if you want your palms being read by me, just know that you definitely shouldn't take it to heart, and it's gonna be a basic reading. I think it'll be really interesting. I think it's more for fun. In my part, I'm definitely not. Even though they told me I'm a brujita, I'm definitely one. I struggle with saying things correctly, so sometimes I could be a very blunt person, not on purpose, by accident. That's just se me sale. But I think it'll be really fun if you want to know like some basic stuff. I bought the course, so I might as well use it with the people that watch this episode and is interested in this stuff. And yeah, and before I end this episode, I do want to share one more thing, not related to the episode, but or kind of related in the sense of I want to find either like a service or product that I can share with you guys that you guys need, but you're like, I don't want to deal with the the planning, the seeing it through pretty much. So whether it be like a planner, a budget, I think a budget template might be like a good resource. Um, maybe even a newsletter because then with that there could be like affiliate links and then you guys can let me know, oh, you know, I would like I buy like these stuff and either a discount would be great or so, stuff like that. And then one of the main things that came in my head this past 2 weeks has been creating an accountability group where it's pretty much we kind of do like a focus hour every week, and then depending, maybe it'll be free in the beginning, or maybe there'll be like tiers where like because I could do podcasts, I could do live podcasts within the group so you can ask questions towards the end or even during the call. That's just like me brainstorming. But I think it'll be really interesting. Just maybe even doing free, like again, 1 hour focus groups and then focus hours, and then doing weekly meetings or bi-weekly meetings on keeping ourselves updated. Like, oh, what did you do this week? Your wins, celebrating your wins. If you need advice, like giving each other advice. I think it'll be a really cool thing. And then it's also like building this community and finding people. I think it'll be amazing for like content creators or people who want to go into like this entrepreneurship slash entrepreneurship and then like career and entrepreneurship together, and then just focusing who also tend to focus maybe who also tend to focus on like a lot of different things and just need to focus on one thing for the year. And then we could also talk about our other interests, but we in itself we're prioritizing this one thing, but there's also like a lot of things that we could be talking about. So I think that would be really interesting. Let me know what you guys think, what you guys ladies think, and maybe we could work on it. Like send me a DM if you're interested, and or if you have any other ideas that maybe you want me to like put in the work of like, oh, you could do this and this and this will be a great opportunity, or like I haven't seen nobody else do this and I wish somebody would do this, and I would definitely love to be a part of it. So let me know. This will be like a great survey. um hopefully people watch towards the end so they can see this. But with that being said, if you're watching this on Spotify, don't forget to follow there on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to follow there. And Spotify, you could give a comment like, what did you think about this episode? And then that would be really amazing if you were to do that. And if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, share, all of that, because that really supports the podcast. And I think that's it. With that being said, thank you so much for watching and or listening, and have an amazing, beautiful day. See you in the next one. Bye.